Gonna be a coming time in our life where somebody gonna have something crazy to say. If everybody's opinion mattered and was truth, I would have been stopped playing years ago.
Brandon Emmanuel Knight, born December 2nd, 1991. When the name Brandon Knight is mentioned, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably this. Or this. Or that, or so many other moments you think back and wonder, how unlucky can a basketball player be? Of course, unlucky in the context of competing against his peers, which to his credit are the top 450 or so basketball players in the world. Brandon is an accomplished athlete with a lot to look back on and feel proud to have done. In a league like the NBA, only 1.2% of college basketball players even make. But in that same context, you understand how good Brandon Knight could have been with all the natural talent he possessed, from elite athleticism, far as speed with the ball, quickness, even though to a fault, and his ability to shoot the ball, although streaky as can be in that department. When DeAndre Jordan dunked on Brandon Knight, it seemed like the court itself shook the way he hit the floor and just laid there, partially in pain from meeting a 6'11", 265-pound athletic specimen with motion behind him in the air, and partially his pride, unable to first believe, then react to what had just happened as his teammates peeled him off the floor. That moment is forever etched in the history of Brandon Knight, and some even say it was the day his career ended. They forget he went on to average at least 17 points, 5 assists, and shot 37% from 3 for the next 3 seasons following that, and put up borderline all-star numbers 2015-16 at 19.6 points per game and over 5 assists. Not to mention earning a 5-year, $70 million contract prior to that season. Although, to be fair, he was one of the more inefficient players that year, still struggled with turnovers, and once again one of the worst defenders because of his eagerness to bite on pump fakes or be caught on screens that should be easy to fight through and recover. Keep in mind, this was the 8th overall pick in the 2011 draft, first team All-SEC in college and Parade All-American, Gatorade National Player of the Year as a junior and senior in high school, and McDonald's All-American, being named a top 5 prospect in his class and 3rd best point guard after Josh Selby and Kyrie Irving. All that said, Brandon Knight's career, many would say, did fall short of expectations when you remember he was supposed to become what guys like De'Aaron Fox or Ja Morant became. On paper, one could look at his NBA journey as not so bad, but when you break down those years into moments, you see the potential, but understand how unlucky Brandon Knight was for those rare career-changing moments to have happened, causing him to have a disappointing NBA career for these reasons. Let's talk about it. Salute to everyone that's requested this video. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Brandon Knight was a 6'2" point guard from Miami, Florida, but played his high school ball in Fort Lauderdale for Pinecrest School, one of the top private schools in the country, where he dominated competition as a junior at 31 points a game, 8 rebounds and 5 assists, to go with 3 steals per. As mentioned, he was acknowledged as the nation's best player by Gatorade, an award he'd win the following year as a senior as well, solidifying he had some of the most potential of any player in his class to make the NBA. All it would take was one productive year in college, which Brandon Knight had after committing and playing for Kentucky 2010-11, leading them to the national semifinal game, where they lost by 1 point to eventual champs and tournament hero UConn and Kemba Walker. He averaged 17 points, 4 assists, 4 boards, and shot 37% from 3, good enough to forego his final 3 years and enter the NBA draft. He was selected 8th, 1 spot before Kemba Walker, 3 before Klay Thompson, 7 before Kawhi Leonard, and 22 spots before Jimmy Butler, all multiple-time NBA All-Stars, and 3 surefire Hall of Famers. Stunt number 1. Oh, what a monster gem. It's rare you ever see me use one play and give it this much power to say it alone stunted the growth of a player, maybe the only case where I've seen this happen in recent memory. The main reason I say this is because of the impact I believe it had on his perception from then on, and the confidence drain it had, not so much within Brandon himself, but confidence coaches and teams may have had in him ever since. Brandon came into the league to a team like the Detroit Pistons in rebuild mode after letting Chauncey Billups go for the Rodney Stuckey era to begin, and attempting to hand the keys to Knight after it was clear Stuckey just wasn't their guy. Knight averaged almost 13 points, 4 assists, and shot 38% from 3 as a rookie, making the all-rookie first team, starting 60 of his 66 games. In his second year, the year the incident happened, he was poised to turn a corner with a successful sophomore season, fully in the starting lineup and pushed as their point guard of the future. A few months after that happened, he was traded in the offseason 2013 to the Milwaukee Bucks, where he actually led a team with Giannis, Chris Middleton, and OJ Mayo on it in scoring for the year and 52 games he lasted. Since then, he's played 117 games with the Suns and 4 different teams ever since. The most was 27 games he lasted in that span with the Cavaliers. Within that time, Knight has had multiple public incidents on the court that piled on to him being a player prone to being in the wrong place, wrong time, and it had to have an effect on how he was valued in the league going forward. Players thrive off confidence, and the most confidence they can receive is the team's confidence in them, allowing them to be themselves on the court. That slam shook that all up for Knight. Stunt number 2, body breaking down. In the greatest example of stunted growth, meaning things were thrown off course for a moment but able to get right back on track, Brandon Knight's career was doing so until his body began to break down and injuries overcame his career beginning in 2015-16. Knight was coming off 2 of his best seasons as a pro prior and was having a great start to the 15-16 season. He scored a career high in November with 37 points in a win over the Clippers, his first career triple-double of 30 points, 15 assists, and 10 rebounds, only the 4th in NBA history with a triple-double of such, and broke his own scoring record against the Nuggets with 38 points, averaging almost 20 points a game before a strained adductor muscle in January forced him to miss the next 7 weeks. He returned in March, but the hip continued to have issues, causing the team to shut him down in April for the season. At season's end, he also had surgery for a sports hernia. In 16-17, he played 54 games and started just 5 of them. This coming off a career year, even benched the second half of the season after being fully cleared to play his regular minutes. His game fell off completely that year and only got worse when he tore his ACL at home during the offseason July 2017, missing the 17-18 season altogether. Upon his return, Knight was nowhere near the same player he was just a few years earlier and was just 27 years old, mostly because injuries continued to chase him from team to team. Ruled out prior to the 18-19 season after an infection got into his knee once again during the offseason, leading to a G League stint, and again ruled out for the season January 2019 with more knee issues. Stunt number 3, overall IQ. Whether teams didn't believe in him any longer, or the injuries still weren't fully healed, or they caused him to lose major steps in his game, Brandon Knight, the later parts of his career, was just never the same, and that's as far as it goes for excuses. But overall, the major issue with Brandon Knight was his IQ on both sides of the floor. Beginning with defense, Knight was throughout his career rated one of the worst in the league in real plus-minus and points per 100 possessions. Beginning with defense, he routinely got used on ball screens, the offense needing just one move or bump to lose him for an easy bucket. He'd be caught ball watching over and over, and although he gave tremendous effort, he proved too antsy to be a good defender, biting on every fake. His career blocks per game, 0.2, steals, 0.9, some of the worst in the league at his position. On offense, he struggled finishing from 3 to 10 feet with poorly timed floaters and lacking creativity finishing around the easiest defenses. That or poor decisions choosing shot over easy pass. His three-point shot fell off after his ACL injury, making him almost unplayable toward the end of his time in the league. He finished with the Dallas Mavericks in 2022 and in 2023 played in Puerto Rico, where he was the league MVP and scoring champion. All in all, Brandon Knight gave 100% effort every night. He just ultimately didn't have great IQ to go with it and dealt with injuries that slowed his career. All that said, he wasn't terrible, but for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.